Hello. I slept my tea beforehand. You can teach an old dog new tricks. Right, this is from yesterday's Guardian comments, and I snipped it out. It's about, you can imagine, you get it from the article. My daughter, who trained as a hairdresser, is caught up in this mayhem. Very few hairdressing businesses offer paid employment. Instead, they offer rent-a-chair, which the stylist is required to pay 50% of their earnings to the salon owner. In addition, the renter is also required to supply all of the products such as dyes, etc. This is common practice. I didn't know this, but I bet it isn't common practice in my village. As far as apprenticeships are concerned, salons are only interested in 16-year-old school leavers who they pay apprentice wages of just over £3 an hour. £3 an hour? What can you do with £3 an hour? I suppose if it's pocket money and you're still staying with mum, I suppose it's all right, but heck. The apprentice is used as a general dog's body, which is what an apprentice is always used for, I think, to sweep floors, make coffee and answer the telephone, while no checks are made as to the standard of training being given by the salon owner in return for the money they are given to train apprentices. In other words, the government pays the salon owner to train the apprentice, but there are no checks made. Well, it'd be expensive, wouldn't it, to check? In effect, the government is writing blank checks willy-nilly, but are not ensuring taxpayers' money is spent as intended. Could I respectfully urge the Guardian to look into this 21st century form of slave labour? Now, there's lots of stuff in there. It's obviously hard for young people, but I think it always was. But yes, it was easier in the old days. But the use of language has gone completely out of control. Could I respectfully urge the Guardian, that's all good, to look into this 21st century form of slave labour? That's dodgy. And what it is the parent thinking the child is special and deserves better. Oh, going the wrong way. Now I wanted to do that one last. Okay, I've got my brilliant system that I set up all screwed up. So I'll do this one. We are talking, this is a comment further down below, and I had to cut and paste it because it was so far below that it doesn't matter. We are talking someone who cuts hair. The good thing is at least they did not spend 100k in loans to get a history degree or the arts. Now, this is kind of why I wanted this last, because I might go on a bit here. We are talking someone who cuts hair. The good thing is at least they didn't spend 100k in loans to get a history degree or the arts. Because, looking at camera, if you have a history degree, there isn't much you can do with it. You can teach history. That's about it. There might be one or two other things, or somebody might be impressed that you've got a history degree, and it's pretty similar with the arts. I mean, it isn't exactly a key to a door of infinite job possibilities. But I think most people know that. And again, we'll shit upon the people that do history degrees or degrees in the arts because they're obviously stupid in the fact that they're not aware that what they've done is not socially acceptable. But I'm going to put my hand up in support of history degrees and degrees in the arts. And the way I was going to do it was talk about me, but I won't get this comment out. Mortgages. Where was it now? It's another article, and it fits in a bit that it looks like it's caused what's called a Twitter storm, and a storm on the media things, because some woman, girl, female thing wrote an article saying that she's been refused all these jobs because she's so pretty, and it caused a real big storm. Now, this article in the comment section is telling the obvious thing of why it happened is because why there was the storm was because she wasn't pretty. So she's saying, I'm being turned down for all these jobs because I'm so pretty, with a picture of her in the article, disproving what she said in the article. So people, being natural, horrible children type things, go, yeah, get out of it, you stupid cow. Totally natural. And in the comment section, Val Batt quotes Jack Nicholson to Michelle Pfeiffer in the film Wolf. And apparently Jack Nicholson said, you know, I think, should I go in a bit more accent? I don't know. You know, I think I understand what you're like now. You're very beautiful, and you think men are only interested in you because you're beautiful. But you want them to be interested in you because you're you. The problem is, aside from all that beauty, you're not very interesting. You're rude, you're hostile, you're sullen, you're withdrawn. I know you want someone to look past all that at the real person underneath. But the only person around that would bother to look past all that is because you're beautiful. Ironic, isn't it? In an odd way, you're your own problem. And the quote below that says, yeah, the last bit, in an odd way, your own problem is probably true for all of us in some way or other. Have I caught myself up now? The arts and history and all that, I think we all grow up, well, you get the 2-year-old tantrums where it's quite obvious that the 2-year-old thinks that they're the centre of the universe. And I would think thinks it's the only thing that is in the universe, the only thing that counts anyway. And I think we inevitably all come from that position. It took me getting on for 50 years to get over it. And I put it down to it. We don't know whether it's a coincidence or not, but it seemed to coincide with my reading of history and what we could call the arts, classical books, which I think the modern parenting and schooling and all this sort of modern way of bringing up children is different to how it used to be. In the old days, it's clip them upside the head and push them out in the street and let them grow up. It's a lot more controlled nowadays, and it involves specialness and trying to convince them they're special so they have the courage and conviction to go out into the world and go, I'm special, I can do this. But this obviously flies in the face of immediate, obvious logic that if they're special, then everybody else is special. But this doesn't seem to be ever noticed in this new special modern world. I think what it does, this specialness, is to entrench the feeling of I am specialness. The 2-year-old is allowed to live longer. And in the series of 1 to however many I'm going, I think this is to be discouraged, because whatever it takes, life becomes so much more easy with yourself when you understand how non-special you are. You are at least as special as everybody else, as special as everybody that ever lived and everybody will live, etc., etc. You're absolutely no one in nowhere land. I mean, it really, you're so unimportant, it's just not true. The balance has to be taken, obviously, between that understanding, which is obviously true, and having enough self-belief to go out and conquer in this mad world. And coming back to yesterday, it is horribly true that you can do all the crushing out, squeezing out, popping the pus of the 2-year-old out of you, all the I am specialness, pop it all out, and live in the contentment of not having to live up to being special. And it is glorious lying on the beach in full sun. But then getting your ass off the beach in the sun and actually going to mix with everybody else and fight for money is an absolute bitch. And this is, I think, where we are with all this. It's very important to crush out of yourself any idea of specialness. But unfortunately, that leaves you in such a state of bliss that you don't want to go out and earn money. But you have to. So if you have to earn money, you've got to either pull back in or maintain a certain amount of this ego specialness. I don't know why, but you have to, to enable you to go out and compete in the world. If you know why, you tell me, I'm sure you will. Comments are doing very well at the moment, and thank you very much for them. But that seems to be the way it is. I would really struggle in the real world now. Lisa would struggle in the real world. She represents somebody that's probably squeezed 90-something% of the 2-year-old out of herself. But it looks like a certain quantity is needed to go out there and compete in the world. And we might have to move on to why that might be. And I've got a list of other questions from the comments that I've made a note of that I will try and come round to answer. But that's it for today. Thank you everybody, including Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer. Bye.